Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and it wouldn't be a week on Cracking the Cryptic recently unless we featured a puzzle that was actually by Marty Sears. And now, we did think we might have had a puzzle by Marty Sears last week, but it turned out to be an imitation of Marty Sears by the Peddling Pianist. Well, this one is actually by Marty. It's called the Goldilocks Zone. It was created as part of Skojo's imitation series. So this was Marty's real puzzle. The Peddling Pianist copied Marty's style, but this puzzle has been recommended to us so much as well. I mean, the Peddling Pianist's copy of Marty's style was one of the great Sudoku puzzles of all time, and the fact that this is garnering similar praise just well, it says a lot for Marty. And yeah, we're going to have a look at this. I've read the rules. They're classic Marty. There are digits in the grid that are too cold. There are digits in the grid that are too hot. And there are digits in the grid that are just right. So it is an absolute, I suppose, it's something of a eulogy to the fairy story that we're probably all familiar with. Anyway, I'll read the rules of this in a moment or two's time. My first job today, though, apart from introducing the puzzle, ought to be to thank those of you who stayed with us last night when we completed the game. Thank goodness you're here. What a game that is! It's hard to describe it. I mean, it's. I'm not even sure it was a game. It was more of a sort of cinematic experience where you get to live in sort of a slightly warped version of the north of England that those of you who've ever watched Coronation Street will be slightly familiar with, or perhaps those of you who've read Under Milk Wood by Dylan Thomas. It's slightly surreal. It was slightly Monty Python, and I thought it was absolutely magnificent. And apparently we didn't even discover all the jokes. So I will play it again in my own time at some point. But anyway, it was an absolute delight. So yeah, thanks to those of you who joined us. Other news. There are still tickets available. I don't think there can be many, because when I had the last ticket update, there were not many. There are tickets available for our live edition of Cracking the Cryptic, which we are doing as part of the Stratford Literary Festival. Now, some of you have written in to say you hadn't realised it's Stratford-Upon-Avon. It is Stratford-Upon-Avon, the home of Shakespeare. That is where this is taking place, not Stratford in London. And you can see, if you click on this, when are we doing it? The 27th of October at 10 AM. We'd love to see some of you there. Yeah, there's going to be a Q&A. I hope a chance to meet people as well. So if you've ever wondered if we actually exist, this will be the chance to test to find out one way or the other. Other things going on. Our Patreon has got loads of extra content at the moment. Mark's been posting diligently his connections video, this sort of only connect, find the connections between 16 different words. You have to split them into groups of 4. I do that every day. No doubt many of you do out there, but if you want to see Mark solve it, then those videos are there at the moment. And of course, there's our Sudoku Hunt competition, which has still got 4 days to run, themed this month on, well, famous sandwiches from the movies and TV. It sounds strange, but actually has yielded quite a lot of really rather nice sandwich Sudokus. So definitely commend that to you. People have enjoyed it. And then a birthday. I've got one birthday today. Big birthday for Rob over there in Illinois, who has turned 50 today. Many congratulations. Rob sent us a poignant email describing how reaching the grand old age of 50 was making him a bit melancholy as he reflected on unfulfilled goals and decreasing opportunities in a no longer limitless future. And Rob, I was struck by your words, but I thought about them for a few minutes, and I think actually they're completely healthy. It is completely healthy, I think, to always have unfulfilled goals and to realise that time is limited for all of us, because I think that makes you ambitious. It makes you try to be the best version of yourself and to make use of the little time that we have. We never know, of course, how much time we have, so we should all be seizing the day and driving ourselves forwards and arranging our atoms as best we can to make those naughty atoms do what we want them to do and achieve the most we can in life. So Rob, I hope you have an absolutely brilliant birthday today. I hope you have chocolate cake. I think you might have already had a party that involved chocolate cake. Did I remember reading that in your email? Well, even if you've had chocolate cake, today's the day. You should get more, and many happy returns. And with all that said and done, let's do some solving. Let's have a look at the Goldilocks Zone by the great Marty Sears. These are the rules of the puzzle. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So we have to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3 by 3 box. Then we have to divide the grid into 3 zones. Each zone consists of a single group of orthogonally connected cells. No 2 by 2 area may be entirely within one zone. So that's that's advanced yin-yang, isn't it? So yin-yangs, normally you divide the grid into 2 such zones that have to have orthogonal connections. Orthogonally connected means shares an edge with. So my standard pattern is not going to work today. My standard pattern that demonstrates yin-yang with just 2 zones is this. That is a valid yin-yang pattern, because every cell there, every green cell, can be connected to all the rest of the green cells by moving from cell to cell along cells that share an edge with one another. And all the yellow cells have a similar quality, and no 2 by 2 area of the grid is entirely one colour. But here we have to do that, but we have to, I know how I'm going to do it. There. That must work. I'm going to claim that is a valid yin-yang. There we go. So that's an example of how to make the puzzle work. Right, so that's what we have to do. But when we're dividing the grid into zones, it says the first zone is too hot. Any cell in the hot zone has a value 1 greater than its digit. The second zone is too cold, and any cell in the cold zone has a value 1 less than its digit. And the third zone, this is where we eat the porridge, is just right. This is the Goldilocks zone. In this zone, a cell's value equals its digit, like normal. The 9 objects, bowls, chairs and beds, yeah, I can see those, all contain different digits, but each object of the same type has the same value. Okay, I think I understand that. Zone borders, not box borders. Okay, so zone borders divide blue lines into segments, each of which has the same total, i.e. the sum of its values has the same total. Okay, and the 2 ends of a blue line always lie in different zones. So let's try and understand what that means. Let's use this line. It seems to be the longest line. So let's make those squares one colour, those squares another colour, and those squares the third colour. What colour should we have? Oh, hang on, grey. So if this was how the shading worked, so these are the 3 different zones. One of these zones has to be the just right zone. So say that was here. Then the digits along there, you would actually just add them up normally. And they would come to a total. Let's say that total is X. Now, if the purple zone was the too cold zone, how does this work? Too cold. Yeah, then the sum of these 3 digits would each be reduced by 1 each time to give the actual value of this segment, and the value would have to be the same as X. And then if this is the too hot zone, each of the digits in here is increased by 1, such that the values there, having had the one increase each time, is equal to X. It's really complicated. But that is all the rules. That is all the rules. So that's all we have to do. Do have a go. I've got no idea how hard this is. I'm guessing quite hard. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play let's get cracking. So the first thing is that all of these are different digits, aren't they? But when I was reading that rule, I was thinking there was some other something else I could extract from that. Let me read the rule about the objects again. The 9 objects all contain different digits. Right, but each object of the same type has the same value. So the beds... Yeah, so yes, okay, so what we're actually being told here is that the 3 beds are in different zones, aren't we? I think. Because if these all have the same value, but they all contain different digits, they must all suffer from a different adjustment. So one of them is going to be just right, one of them is going to be too hot, so they could be 2, 3 and 4. One of them, the 2 would then be increased to have a value of 3. The 3 would be in the Goldilocks zone, and the 4 would be reduced to have a value of 2. No, value of 3. What am I talking about? The 4 would have a value of 3. But that makes me think, and I might be wrong about this. No, I think that's right. I think that, therefore, the beds, the chairs, and the porridge bowls are... One of them is a 1, 2, 3 collection, because imagine one of these cells is a 1. And there's no way of making 2 other digits have a value of 1. You could make 1 other digit have a value of 1 by reducing a value of 2 by 1 to give a value of 1, but you couldn't make another cell then have a value of 1. So what I think is happening is that you're going to collect the digits 1, 2 and 3 together. The 2 will have a natural value, the 1 will be increased, and the 3 will be reduced to 2. And then you're going to have a 4, 5, 6 collection that has that same property, and then you're going to have a 7, 8, 9 collection that has the same property. So what... And what can I do with that? So I know that these are in different zones. I know these are in different zones. I think there's something there. My brain isn't telling me what it is. No, sorry, I'm not. I've got this horrible feeling there's something very obvious I can deduce from that, and I'm just not seeing it. I'm looking back at the rules to see if there's something else. What the few spider senses I have are tingling. No, I don't know. Okay, so what else can we do here? We've got to establish how... Okay, so... Yeah, this is going to be more complicated. The actual shading that we have to apply in this puzzle is definitely more complicated. Normally, in yin-yang, you can say very quickly things like you can't have a checkerboard. And I think that is sort of true here. I don't think you can have a pure 2-coloured checkerboard. That would feel impossible. Because let's say let's say these were 2 zones. There was a green zone and a grey zone. And then we know that the greys have to be orthogonally connected. So let's achieve that. And then we can see these greens can't be orthogonally connected, and yet they need to be. So that is impossible. You can't have a 2-coloured checkerboard, but could you have a 3-coloured checkerboard? Yeah, you probably could, couldn't you? Because there's nothing saying that all of the colours have to reach the perimeter. So why couldn't I just do that? Yeah. And then effectively the rest of the grid would be a two-coloured division problem. And the only problem I'm seeing, sorry, and the reason I was mentioning the perimeter there is I was imagining what happens if purple gets to the perimeter. Then it is more difficult. As well, if every colour has to get to the perimeter, then you can't do it, because I couldn't connect these up. Okay, so maybe it's more about the edge then, is it? So again, I'm sort of going back to the principles I know about yin-yang puzzles. Normally in yin-yang puzzles, you can't have more than one change of colour in the perimeter. So imagine that, forget the three-coloured problem. Let's imagine that you had this, then this, then this, and then you tried to introduce more purple over here. Well, that won't work because of the sort of exploded checkerboard problem, in the sense that I have to connect the purple to the purple over here, and however I do that, and whatever route I take, and however complicated that route might look, and there it doesn't look complicated at all, you can see the greens now can't connect to one another, so that won't work. But here we've got, why couldn't we just have a new colour over there? Oh, I'm getting my colours badly. Marty's always using these slightly off-coloured grids. So I can clearly have that situation, can't I? There's no problem there. And then if I introduce green again here, have I broken it? I haven't broken it. No, you haven't broken it there. So if I could just connect these up just to show you what I can see there. So now the reason I think this is okay is what's the problem with joining green up? The grey, providing I don't put grey over here now, we're fine, aren't we? If I did put grey over there, then I've got a problem because I can't get that grey to touch the grey. But providing grey just lives in a world of its own over there, I don't know, we'd probably have to be very careful about avoiding checkerboards, or avoiding 2x2s. But in principle, at least, I don't see what the problem is with that. Now, could we do another change? So, no, okay. So that is capped out. That is clear, isn't it? I was about to say very clear. I'm not sure this is very clear, but I think it is clear to me that if I do introduce a repeated colour in the perimeter, there can only be one such repeated colour. Because let's try in this situation, which we've proved does work, to introduce another change of colour. Where should we do that? One way we could do it would be to make a bit of grey down here. But then you can see it's just impossible because you're going to join up the greens, and that's going to prevent the second colour from achieving an orthogonal connection. And I don't think. I mean, any other introduction of colour is going to suffer from exactly that problem, or a worse problem. I mean, if you introduced that, for example, you can't even achieve. You can't. You're going to cut green off from itself. Yeah, I mean, yes, nonsense. Right. So the most numbers of change of colours you can have in the perimeter in the puzzle. You can have 4 different colours. Actually, let me just go back. You can have 4 different colours. And that means the colour 2, 3. Start there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can, yeah. For some reason, I was thinking if you have 4 different colours, that's 4 different changes of colours, isn't it? And it is 4 different changes of colours. It just feels weird. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So there can only be 4 areas on the perimeter. How do we do this? Let's double click all those. 4 areas where there are changes of colour. Now, you see, you can nearly, well, yeah, okay. So that's actually important, I think, because yeah, the lines have to have 2 colours, don't they, at least? Because there was some rule about the 2 ends of a line having to lie in different zones. So this domino here is a change of colour on the perimeter, and so is that one, because its 2 ends have to be in different zones. And these 2 ends have to be in different zones. So there is a change of colour here, a change of colour here, a change of colour here. And going back to what we were talking about at the beginning, I think, well, in my brain, I have stored up a fact which I think I've proved, which is that these are all in different areas. Let me go back. The 9 objects. Yeah, that must be right. These have different digits in them, but the same value. So they can't be in the same, they cannot be in the same zone. So what we've now deduced, well, what we've deduced is that there are in this puzzle, there are 4 changes of colour in the perimeter, because there's a change here, a change here, a change between these 2 squares, and a change here. So that means we are in a world where, in my example, green is crossing the grid, if you like, but we don't know where. We don't know. Or do we? No, we don't really. We know it's, I think we know it's either going to be a sort of horizontal cross or a vertical cross, but that might be wrong, actually. I'm not sure about that. That could be absolute nonsense. But okay, but what we can't have is any more changes of colour, can we? So we know that between this square and this square, the colour is consistent. There can't be another change of colour. So let's actually start to do that then. Between this square and this square, there can't be. Not only do we know that this is different from green, because we know there is a change of colour across this line between the ends, but we know that there isn't another change of colour around that corner. And then we know that the same is true between here and here, so that is a continuous sequence. But that could be green, but it needn't be green. But it could be green. And then this to here has no change of colour, but that could be purple. No, it can't be purple. Okay, that's beautiful. Right, so one possible arrangement of the colours here, well, let's just start with this, which is true. Everything I've drawn there is true. There is no change of zone within the green, within the purple, within the grey, within the blue. However, we know that there are only 3 zones in this puzzle, and I have put 4 colours in. So one of these colours is superfluous and needs to merge and become a different colour. Well, we can't make this one green, can we? Because then there isn't a change of colour across this node. So that's not going to work. So we know that green and blue are definitely different. And we know that green and purple are definitely different. So I think what I said at the start was sort of correct. because we know that these three colours, yeah, I've got to be careful how I describe this. I know that green is different to blue and it's different to purple. What I don't know is whether purple is different to blue. If purple is different to blue, then the three colours in the puzzle are these three colours, and this grey colour must be the same as green, because it couldn't be the same as purple or blue, because it's joined because of the rocking chairs and because of the blue line here. Yeah, so we are going to end up with a world where either green is grey or purple is blue. Now, purple is not blue. Because if purple was blue, these two cells, the beds, would have different digits in them but the same value. But if they're the same colour, that's impossible. So purple is different to blue, and therefore grey is the same as green. And that is what we've just drawn now is correct in the sense that it's valid. And now what's that? I suppose, yes, we've got to do that for... We've got to now divide the rest of the grid. So I'm looking at the possibilities for the 2x2s in the corners and trying to understand what they mean. Because obviously this can't be purple. This can't be purple because otherwise that line is all the same. We know that the two ends of the line are different. But surely, yeah, I think... Okay, again, and I'm not sure what I'm about to say is correct, but I think it feels correct to me. So we can see that in the puzzle, in terms of our shading, we need to connect green to green somehow. There's going to be an orthogonal connection that might be complicated, that cuts the grid in half, basically. It connects this green to this green. And therefore, you could never put, I'm going to claim, you know, can that square ever be blue? And I'm going to say no. Because if that square is blue, in other words, can you ever orthogonally connect purple to blue? No. I'm actually more confident about that the more I think about it. That's definitely right. Because if I did attempt this, we know that blue, these blues connect somehow. Don't know how. We don't know where. But we know somehow that happens, don't we? And that's going to create a wall of blue/purple that prevents green from crossing the grid. So there can never be anything that is not purple in those sequence of digits must be green. So that is green, that is green, that is green. That is not green, because that's going to break the world. So that... You see, if that's blue, then the way that... So blue is going to go there somehow. Yeah, that can work, but it's going to really pen in purple. So I don't think I know what that is. Okay, hang on a sec now. I can do the same here. This square can't be purple, so that's green. What we can't do is that we can't do the same things there, can we? I mean, it's very true to say neither of these is green, but I don't know whether they're purple or blue. I don't think I do anyway. Oh, this is fascinating. It's just fascinating. It's classic Marty. Okay. I've also... here's a point. That's a good point. Look, I've got two colours for my rocking chairs. So that must be the other colour. That must be... Yes, oh, I can do this again. The beds. The beds. I need a green bed. I haven't got a green bed, but I can get one. There. This is a green bed. So this square and this... Oh, so this square is the same colour as this, because this has to get out. Oh... Oh, that was... I thought that was going to be... Well, what's that? I want that to be... What do I want that to be? Probably blue? Because it's very easy for it to get to blue. It has to not be green. If it was purple... Purple... it's a green... Green has to... Okay, I'm just going to say this, because I think it's true, but I don't understand really how it works. The way that green connects across the grid must be sort of to the left of this digit, mustn't it? Because this purple has to somehow connect to its purple friends on the perimeter. I don't know how it's going to do that, but it's going to do it somehow. So green, to get across here, can't prevent that from happening by sort of crossing like this, because that's going to cut purple off from its friend. So there is a green path that's going to somehow snake this way. I'm wondering if that means that has to be purple. Let me just think about that. If that is blue... No, because what you could do is green could do some sort of jiggery-pokery like that, couldn't it? Oh, no, actually, no, that doesn't work. No, actually, that's weird. I thought that was going to work, but I don't think it does. I hadn't appreciated the effect of this square being green. Alright, I'm going to think about this again. I think I better think it out again. So if green, if this is the conduit by which green separates purple from blue, then green has to extend. This green has to get here somehow, don't know how, but however it does it, this is cut off. So that cannot be blue. That's really weird, but it's true. You can't, because this can't be the bridge. If this is blue, this can't be the bridge, it's because this green would have to come there, and then I couldn't perform the exciting zigzag I was trying to perform. And it is an exciting zigzag. None of you can claim it wouldn't be an exciting zigzag. But I was thinking I could still connect these purples together, but I can't, because there's no way to get through that little naughty thing of green there. So this is not blue. That is purple, and that is quite surprising. Oh well, okay. So this is a different colour to that, because these are two ends, and this is definitely not blue, because it would be touching a purple. So that's definitely green. Ah, okay, this one has a green at its end, so that one is either blue. That's blue or purple. Now, again, if that's blue, green has to come through there and separate it. Might be possible. I'm not sure. Finding this quite difficult to visualize, actually. Some green has to come lower than this. I'm going to find this easier if I just put it in. So if I do that, we can now see that this purple has to get... Well, firstly it has to touch that somehow. Boom. Blue is going... There's going to be some line connecting blue to its friends. So the conduit... It doesn't work again. It's the same point, actually. It's the same point. I'm just finding it quite hard to see. So if you do make this end blue... Let me sort of set it out as cleanly as I can. Blue has to connect here somehow. And it doesn't matter how it does it. So I'm just going to draw in a thing so that we can see how the connections across the grid have to flow. Green now has to get to here, doesn't it? So it's going to come through this conduit. But purple has to get back to here. But the way that green is going to connect to here is only going to cut this. It's going to have to come through there, isn't it? In some way or other. So even though this one can get to the edge, this one cannot, because it can't. And in fact, let me just draw this in slightly differently, because some of you may say, no, it can, because it could go round there. And some of you might be correct. Wow, okay, I'm wrong, aren't I? Yeah, I'm totally wrong. I didn't see this as a possibility, but it is. I mean, ignore 2x2s. I'm just trying to establish principles here. What is wrong with that? Marty, you are just... You are infuriating. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't think. There may be. There may be something deeper wrong with it, but I can't see it. So my first instinct and my second is just totally wrong. I think this can be blue. Wow. Wow. Okay. Provided, but it is still true to say that the way that green connects to its friends up here is via some mechanism that takes it to the southwest of this. It still does need to do that, although it could be a funny path like that allows it to do it. Right, okay, so we're going to have to think about something different again now. So what on earth is it going to be? Where is the... What? How am I ever going to get a clue about the size of the digits as well? There's going to have to be some way of attributing values to everything. This is weird. It's absolutely weird. This line, the long line, has a 2-cell sum. And this stretch here, which is either blue or purple, is at least a 2-cell sum, because that has to get out. Okay, well hang on though. How could that be blue? This might be wrong as well, but the thing I'm seeing that's a problem with this being blue is my hypothesis that said that I had to come round to the southwest of this to connect green up. Because if that's blue... Yeah, that doesn't work, actually. I can now see that more clearly. If this is blue, blue, remember, must always be separated from purple by green. How do I get this out? You can't do it. There's no way out. And if you did think you'd found a way out, the green would then have to separate the purple, and there's no way we could get the green to come round here. Because if the green comes round here, whatever route it took, you can see it's going to cut this blue out. So that's not blue, that's purple. that's a tiny deduction, but it's at least it's something we hadn't figured out before. But I mean, it's really a small win. It's a small win in the context of, but hang on, can I apply? Yeah, I can probably do this. I can't have a cell that sees two colours being the third colour, can I? So I'm looking at this, and I was actually also, where else was I looking when I was thinking about this? These two, this junction. Now, this square cannot be blue, because if it was blue, blue would be touching purple, which is not allowed. So these squares are definitely either green or purple. That square's got that quality as well, hasn't it, actually? But that square's seeing these two colours. Yeah, that's it. Right, here's another deduction then. This is actually a very deep puzzle. It's fascinating to me, this. Look at this square. What colour is it? And I don't know the answer, but I do know it's not blue. Because if it's blue, blue is touching purple, and that's going to create one of these walls across the grid. So that square is either green or purple, and that's a green-purple pair within the pudding bowls, the porridge bowls, and that square is blue. And if that square is blue, what colour is this? It can't be purple, because purple and blue cannot connect. So that is blue. And now this can't be purple for exactly the same reason that that one couldn't be purple. So this one is green. And that purple has to get... This is quite remarkable. Is this how you're meant to do this? It is brilliant. So now... Well, now this has to be green to separate blue from purple. Blue here is going to have to get back over here, isn't it? Which may or may not be achievable. Well, it must be achievable somehow if the logic I've done is correct. I don't know how to do it. And now I'm hitting another of these impasses where I really had a moment there where I was making... Oh, no, I've got another deduction. If that's purple and that's green... Well, that... No, it's not a good deduction. I mean, it's certainly true to say that can't be blue, but it could be purple or green. Sorry. If this square was purple, then that would be green. These two have to be in different regions, don't they? If that square is green, how do I connect purple up? Maybe it is possible, but it's very... I don't actually think it is. It feels very difficult. Feels very difficult to me. I think there is still some sort of global connectivity point here that I'm not... Yeah. This square, we know that green green connects across the grid by coming to the southwest of this. So it does that somehow. But obviously it can't just go straight across the grid without isolating this. So green must, I think it must come through there. If green just went across like this, blue would be isolated. So yeah, so one way, yes, okay, this is a way of thinking about this. This blue is connected to this blue somehow. Don't know how. Just draw something. Let's draw something in that's nowhere near anything else. Let's draw that in. Now you can see that how does green connect? Firstly, how could this not be green? That's very clear, isn't it? In fact, has that been clear for... Yeah, that's been clear forever and a day. That's been clear since we deduced that this was blue. That just cannot be purple. So that's definitely green. But also, as we've just seen, this is also green. Because green is connecting via this mechanism. But now, how does this connect to purple? Purple has been shut in almost. The only square that allows this to connect to purple is that one. So that is definitely purple. And now we're getting ourselves into a right pickle, aren't we? I think, because this blue is going to connect over here. So green has to come down, and then we know that green somehow has to get round here, so that has to be green. If that's green, that's not green, so that's purple. So green has to continue going this way. And we get... Well, what do we get from that? We've got that blue, whatever blue is equal to 2 greens, but greens are going to, well, something is adjusted in this equation. These purples have to get to here somehow. So if that was green, purple would have to go along there and up there. That would be very, if that was green, it would be incredibly powerful. But if that's green, oh, hang on. Now I think both of these have to be purple, which that's wrong, isn't it? That is wrong. So how have I made a mistake there? I'm looking at these two. Now both of these touch purple, so neither can be blue. So one of these is green, one of these is purple. That's because these are different because they're on the same line. The two ends of the same line. Now if that is green, it's very clear that to connect that purple to that purple, I have to, if this is green, both of those have to be purple. But if this is purple, I thought I reached the same conclusion. Because then this becomes green. Oh no, that doesn't work. In fact, that just doesn't work. I would have to make both of those purple, but I can't. You can't connect this up at all if it's this way round. So in fact, green has to be on top, purple has to be on the bottom, and we've still got the same question. How do we attach the purples in the bottom to the purples on the top? You're going to have to go through there. But the reason I didn't like this is that now I've got the most almighty run of... I thought that the zone thing... I mean, that is at least... if I put 15 in there and a 1 in there, Ah, for goodness sake, that's how it works. Marty Sears, how do you have these ideas? And how do they emerge? How do you force this on the world so that we get to appreciate this with you? This is sick. It's absolutely sick. Right. So, I now believe that everything I have done is logically correct because this next point is so utterly ludicrous. On this line, we have one digit here that is supposedly adjusted or unadjusted, or having some. It can be adjusted by a maximum of 1 in either an upward or a downward direction. It has to somehow be the same value, having had the adjustment done to it, as 5. Well, these 6 digits, 5 of which have to be different. How on earth can that be? The triangular number for 5 is 15. So imagine that these were 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And imagine that purple meant reduce by 1 in each instance. Well, then the value of these 15 would be reduced by 1 and would be 10 at an absolute minimum. And if this was a 1, it could be reduced in value to 0. And therefore the absolute minimum value of those 6 cells, if purple is reducing by 1, is 10. And what's the maximum value that can have? Well, imagine blue was increased by 1. Then that could be a 9, increase in value to 10, and it would equalise. Equilibrium would have been found. And that must be what's going on, because there is no conceivable way that it could be anything else. So this is a digit. That is a 9. This is a 1. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thingy. Quintuple. Purple means reduce by 1, blue means increase by 1, and green is Goldilocks Zone. There we go. That is what we have discovered. That is absolutely brilliant. So, okay, so this square can't be, this is green. It can't be purple because we have to avoid a 2 by 2. And it can't be blue because it would be touching purple. And purple means decrease, doesn't it? Purple is decrease. Right. So here's an interesting thought then. Well, no, I'm having loads of thoughts actually. My thoughts are emerging. They're going in different directions. I'm going to use this cell now, which we know is either purple or blue. Now, if this was purple, the only way of it touching its friends would be to connect to this purple. And you can see that to do that, it's definitely going to prevent blue from reconnecting. So that is blue. But okay, I'm going to go back to the other thought that I nearly articulated and then failed to do that. Because don't I now know? Can't I view each object as a triple, is my question. Because I know that, for example, let's look at the rocking chairs. This digit is being lowered by 1, this digit is being increased by 1, and this digit is staying the same. And because we worked out earlier that they had to be separated into groups of, there's going to be a 1, 2, 3 set, there's going to be a 4, 5, 6 set, there's going to be a 7, 8, 9 set, the middle digit of that, the one that's the unadjusted digit, is always going to be the 2, the 5, or the 8. Which is going to have to sit in the unadjusted one. So the green object is always 2, 5 or 8. And this might matter, you know. This might matter because there are going to be cells in this grid, I'm thinking of this one for example, that now can't be 2, 5 or 8 because it is effectively seeing that triple. Now, for the hotter digits, the digits that get increased in value, they're going to have to be from 1, 4 and 7. So that digit is the one I'm seeing there, that it sees all 3 of those. And then the other ones are going to be 3, 6 and 9, and that can't be 9 by Sudoku of all things. So the bowl is not from the 7, 8, 9 set. So that can't be an 8. The bowl is not from the 7, 8, 9 set. Oh, so that's not a 7 by that logic. So these are either a 1, 2, 3 or a 4, 5, 6 set. Okay. We're probably meant to do more colouring now, to be honest. But that was quite exciting. That square is either purple or green. And we know that... Well, hang on, our green is here. So blue here, and blue here for that matter, they're somehow going to join up. And they're going to connect down here somewhere to blue. And then I suppose green could go that way or that way to achieve that, couldn't it? Just depends where blue joins up with this L-shaped region. And we've achieved the purplification join up already. So any further purples we find are going to probably be less interesting. I don't really know where to look now. I know this square. Ah, I see, that could be purple, could it? If that's green. No, I was about to say, I thought I knew that one would have to be green because it has to be a different colour to blue, but I'm not sure that's true. Ah, I know what that one is. That's got to be a different colour to purple, and it's not able to be green by the 2 by 2 rule, so that is blue. And blue, surely this is now green. Because I have to do everything I can to keep purple and blue apart. They may want to get together, but they're not allowed to. So this square has to be, it can't be purple or green, or just purple or blue for that reason. So I think that has to be green, and blue has to get out. So now this is not blue. Well, how on earth could that be purple? Because actually my rule about oh no, I've just realised something. My rule about orthogonal, I can't orthogonally connect purple and blue, is totally valid for a diagonal connection. Because if this is purple, they may only be touching blue on the diagonal, but because we know that this purple is going to be orthogonally connected to the rest of the purple somehow, and this blue is going to be orthogonally connected to the rest of the blue on the other side of the grid somehow, there's no way green can divide them. So that cannot be purple. That has to be green. And green has to separate purple and blue, so that's green. Good grief. I mean, this is absolutely brilliant. It's really unusual and fascinating. So now what do we do? There's a question. Maybe we have to look at... Oh, I don't know. That square is either blue or green. It's sort of a bit... no, I suppose it's not. I was about to say it's a bit strange we're ever going to know what colour it is, but in fact, probably it's going to be driven by this line, isn't it? So if this square was blue, then that will force that to be green. Okay. Wow. I mean, I'm not really sure where to look here, to be honest. What do we know? We know these two digits add up to 10, and they are natural. Same is true here. So these both add up to 10. So I could, you know, I could put an X between them. I'm going to do that. So like a sort of XV clue. They add up to 10. They add up to 10. Oh, I've got 1 looking at that cell. That's a 4 then. So the porridge bowls are the middle digits. So the 4 is being increased to a 5. So the porridge bowl, that's a 5, and that's a 6. That's beautiful. So I can take 6 out of those. I can take 4 out of these. I can take 5 out of these. That's not 2, 8 now. Actually, it's not 4, 6 either. Can it be 1, 9? Maybe. Not desperately easy for it to be 1, 9, but I think it could be. I'll make that a 3 and put 9 in the corner. That would make that a 9. Can you put... What's... Oh, you'd have to put 9 there, and that would have to be an 8. It would get very complicated, but I can't see why it would be wrong. Right. I've got a 1, 7 pair now in the bottom of the grid that I never... In fact, that digit, maybe that's a place we could think about Sudoku. That's 2, 3, or 8 only, because it sees this 1, 7 pair. But does it? It doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't see both. I was wondering if it saw both of those, but it doesn't. That one would, but that one's a different... Well, let's look at that square then. I said, let's look at that square then. That's nothing to do with Alexa. Ridiculous. Anyway, this is 1, 3, or 7 by Sudoku. And that is a hot digit, isn't it? Because it's in blue. I mean, my colours are a total joke in this. I should probably make the blue ones orange and the purple ones blue, because they're cold. They're having cold applied to them. 1, 3, 7. Oh, I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting a bit bogged down again, aren't I? I've got to come up with something. I've got a 6, 7, 8, 9 in the rest of that column. That's not 9. So I must know the relationship between these two digits. Green is natural. Purple is lowered. So this is 1 different. So this is 7, 8, or 9. And oh, I see. And then it goes back. These two digits are the same. So that's 6, 7, or 8 again. So those two digits are the same. We must definitely record that somehow. That's right, isn't it? I haven't misunderstood that. Once they're the same colour, they must have the same relationship to this digit. That must be right. Oh, well, hang on. This is a very big digit then. Yes, that's interesting. Okay, let's look at... This is going to give me a digit here that might be a singing digit. Let's just think about this. So, these two squares, what is the minimum sum? Well, that could be a 2. So 2 and 6 is the minimum value of those squares, which add up to 8. But they're being lowered in value, so they would drop back in value to 6. as an absolute minimum, because green is a natural digit. So that's a 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple in box 3, and that means that's 3 in the corner, that's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. So that means that's 9, which tells us that the beds are 1s, 2s and 3s, and it tells us that the rocking chairs are 7s, 8s and 9s, which is working. So this is not an 8, this is not 7 or 8, so 7 and 8 in this column are in column 8, so that's not 7 or 8, that's 6 or 9. Oh dearie, dearie me, though. This is getting... it can't be 6. I've now got 1, 2, 3 all looking at this square. This is at least a 4, which is getting lowered to having a value of 3. But this is 9 now. That's forced, because we're adding at least 4 and 6 together, deducting 1 from each of them. So this is at least 8. So that's 9, in fact, then. This is 6, 7, 8. That's 9. And because, well, can that be 5? It can't be 5, because you could do 6 and 5 and then reduce them both by 1 and you would get to 9. This can't be 8 anymore. That is true. That can't be 8 anymore. Maverick flying over. There's an 8 in one of these two. These add up to 11. Yeah, that's a much easier way of thinking about that. They add up to 11. Let's try and remember that. These are not 2s. So there's a 2 in one of those squares. Oh, nearly. So we can nearly limit this, because remember this is natural digits that add up to 10, and they aren't... Oh, we can. No, we can. Can't be 1, 9, can't be 2, 8, can't be 3, 7. That's 4, 6. There we go. Bobbins, that doesn't seem to do. Bobbins, no it doesn't. Okay, can that be a 4? That would be a colder 4, making this a 3. Yes, is the answer. Unfortunately, the answer is yes, it can be. Okay. So, oh, there's a good question. Where's 9 in box 6? And unfortunately, we have to resort to Sudoku at this juncture. And that has to be a 9, which means both of these are 8s. Which means that's an 8 by Sudoku. There's an 8 over here by Sudoku. That is a 6 by Sudoku. I hope this works, otherwise I'm going to be so cross with myself. So 6 is natural, so that's a 7, because this is a purple get reduced by 1. That's on another line here, so this is a 6. Oh, look at this line. This line has 1 of each colour. So that being a 7 gets reduced to 6, which is natural there, and that must be an increased 5 to get to 6 as well. So I get 3 digits there that all have the same value on that line. That's not 5. 6 is over here by Sudoku. 6 is up there by Sudoku. What about that X then? That's 3, 7. Can't be 4, 6, 2, 8 or 1, 9. So this column we've not put 1, 2 and 4 into. So this digit is natural, and that's 1 higher than it. So this is 2, 3 or 5. It's not 4. So that's 4, which means these add up to 11. We worked that out. So that's 7. That's 6. This isn't 3 by Sudoku, so that isn't 2 by Sudoku. This is down to 1 or 4. But I've got a 2 pen. No, that's 5. Oh, that's lovely. So 5, 4 all go in. These squares are a 1-2 pair. So this column needs 5 and 7. Where's the 7 go? 7, 5, 2, 3, 4. Yes, this is lovely. 1, 5. That digit's knowable. That's a 3. That's a 2. We need 4, 5 and 6, don't we, in the bottom row. That digit's not a 1. Oh, I have a feeling there's a lot we can do here. There's probably a lot more shading we can do. Let's try and work this out. Where is the natural place to now look at this puzzle and appreciate something about it? And the answer to that is I have not got a clue. These two are the same value, and blue gets increased, so this square is 1 more than this square. Maybe... oh, I'm unsure. I don't know where to look, really. Could we do something with... oh, I don't know. These have to be different colours. I know that one is not able to be purple, so that is either green or blue. I don't even think I can conclude this can't be purple. There may be a reason, but I can't see what it is. No, I don't actually think that can be purple. No, it can't. Because if that's purple, green has to separate here. And then these blues could never connect down here, could they? So that is also green or blue. So these are different. They're two sides of the same coin in a way. What's more useful? It's probably more useful to know that's green, isn't it? Because then blue would have to come right out there, and that would tell us something about this line. I don't know. Okay, maybe we've got to do Sudoku. Maybe I've been reduced to that. 1, 3, 7, 8 into these squares. Let's look at that. 1, 3, 7, 8. That square is not 7, it's not 3. So that's 1 or 8. That one is not 8. This one is not 8 or 7. That one's 1 or 3 again. Oh, so it's where 8 goes, is it? Yeah, sorry, that's easy. I hadn't seen it. So this is 8. So it's 8, but it's being reduced in value, isn't it? So if this was purple, this would have the value of 7. This would need to be, I think it would have to be a 9, and we'd have to put 1 here. Is that right? Or could we have 2 there, actually? I'm not, yeah, maybe, actually, no, maybe it would be, if this is, well, this has got a value of 7, we know that. Maybe, actually, maybe if that's double green then, this would be either 1, 6 or 2, 5. It couldn't be 3, 4. I don't know. I'm not actually, so I'm not seeing how to do that. Oh, I've got a 7 there, so that's got to be a 3. 3, 1, 7. Oh, that's doing some Sudoku, thank goodness. I've got column 5 now done. Oh, hang on. Yeah, there's a problem. There's a problem here. I've got to be careful with this. Right. This has a value of 4 because it's increased. So how could that be green? There would be 2 natural digits summing to 4. They'd have to be a 1-3 pair. That won't work. So that's got to not be green and must be blue. And now that's making this one green to avoid a 2 by 2. And what are these values? 4 and 9. Ooh, that does work. It does work because each one of these is increasing. So 3 and 4 are 7. Increase them by 2 is 9, and that works. So that's 4, that's 9. That's 4, that's 6. This is a 7, 8, 9 triple. This is a 5, 6 pair. So these are 2, 3, and 4. And oh, that's so close. And that's a 2 by Sudoku. So these squares maybe then 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm going to pencil mark them all liberally. That is not a 7. We don't know anything. The first 3 columns are like completely recalcitrant and being very naughty indeed. If that was green, that feels difficult. No, actually, maybe it's not. That would probably have to be 9, but I think it could be. If that's... It's powerful either way round, because we know these are different. So, okay, so we know this line breaks down into double green equals blue, don't we? That is the way this line breaks down. But... oh, sorry. Okay, hang on, what colour's that? Surely that can't be purple, can it? If that's purple, purple goes like that. No, it doesn't work. I mean, it's tricky. It's tricky to see that, but let me show you. If that's purple, purple obviously has to connect here. It's the only place it could do it. So it would do this. And now this little green is the problem, because that would have to come up here to connect to its friends. And in doing that, blue, this blue for example, could never get back to its friends. So in fact this is not purple, and it's not blue, that is green. Oh, hang on, let's go back there, because I made these two purple, and that's a horrible thing to juice. No, that is green, that is true. Ah, hang on, that by 2 by 2 logic, that square's got to be green, which means that square's got to be blue, which means that square's got to be green. That must do something. Famous last word. No, not famous last words. Right, you can't have a checkerboard within one colour, can you? And we've also worked out we can't have diagonally adjacent blues and pinks or purples. So this cannot be purple. And if it was a checkerboard, then that was blue. We've worked out that didn't work. So that must be green, which means that is not green, and that is actually therefore purple. So purple has grown a bit more than I was expecting it to. So this little arrangement looks interesting now. But also, the other thing I think might be interesting is how does blue get to its friends? Surely that has to be blue. It does. And we've worked out, because there is a crossing, again, I don't think we can create a checkerboard here. So if we did make this blue, I know at the start I said it is possible to have a checkerboard. And that was true at the point that I looked at it. But it's not true once we've concluded that both blue and purple have to get to the edge. You can't have a checkerboard anymore because it won't work for all the reasons we've talked about. So I think that square is now green. Now this is double green, so that can't be green and must be blue. Now this is green to avoid a problem, and blue has to get out, and we can't have a checkerboard. No, we can't have a checkerboard. That is blue. So we're very close to finishing the puzzle, actually. We really are, in terms of colouring. Very close to finishing it in terms of colouring, but we haven't finished it. But we know now, do we? Well, we do. We know things, but I don't think we know enough things. What do we know about this line? So those must have the same value. They're on the same line and they're natural. So that's 2, 3 or 4. But that's the same here, isn't it? These two squares have the same value because they're in the same colour on the same line and they're each one cell. So that's 2, 3 or 4. So actually in this row, I've got a 2, 3, 4 triple. And I know one of these is a 2. So I know one of these is a 2. So I know that is not a 2. I know that these squares are a 1/8 pair by Sudoku to finish that row off. That apparently does nothing, believe it or not. Botheration. What about... Oh, we did work out earlier how these two related, didn't we? That's natural. This needs to be increased. So it's 1 less. So this is 4, 5, 6 or 7. It's not 6 or 7 by Sudoku. So that's not 7 or 8 by Sudoku. That feels like it's done something. But what is it? I don't know. 9 is in one of those two squares. That is true in this box. I don't know. How could that be green? No, I'm not having that. That's not green. Because if that's green, we have to make a decision about the colour of this. Now, what this cannot be is blue, because that would mean these two squares have the same value. So this would also be green. And now I've got 4 greens. Oh, maybe this could work. I hadn't thought of the fact that these could be repeated digits, couldn't they? I mean, they obviously can't be different digits because, well, I say that. I mean, that could be an 8, which would have a value of 9. So these digits, each of which is natural, have to add up to 9. That could be a 1-3 pair. That could be a 1-4 pair. I don't believe it. Right, so that's perfectly possible. Right, ignore my stupidity there. I just didn't think of it. I didn't think that could possibly work, and yet it did. Oh no, it doesn't work for a different reason. I can't make this double green, can I? Because that would create a 2x2 of green, so forget all that. So if that's green, it just doesn't work. So that is blue. Right, so now this can't be double blue. And it can't be double green, so this is one of each. And this line is breaking down either into 3 blues add to 2 greens, or 3 greens add to 2 blues, but we don't know, well, I don't think we know which way round. Okay, so we've got to come up with something else then. How could that be a 9? No, that's not going to work. If that's a 9, we're adding at least 1 to 9 to make 10 here, and we can't make this have a value of 10, even though it would be increased by 1. So this is 9. So that is not 9. 9 is in one of those two squares. But if that's 9... that's okay, isn't it? Providing that this one is purple. Oh no, hang on, I've got a problem. Right, this is not purple, because it would be touching blue diagonally. So that's green. So well, that's good. That's not 9 then, because this would be adding up to too many. So 9 is in the corner. No song for that. That's a 9. What? So so these two squares are. Oh, no, I was going to say they're natural and adding up to 8. That's not true, is it? Because this gets adjusted. They are natural and add up to 7. Oh, goodness me. So they're not 3, 4. Okay, so they're either 1, 6 or 2, 5. I'm just going to put all the options in and see what we can get rid of. There's a virtual 1, 2 pair in this string. So this is 5 or 6. There's a 5, 6 pair in this column now, so that's not 5 or 6. There's a 7, 8 pair in this column now. So 1 is in one of those squares. That's consistent with what we were talking about before. Oh no, that was when I was doing my nonsense with this being double green. So maybe that's not consistent. Yeah, okay. So this isn't a 1, is it? So that is the 1 or the 2. I'm just going to double check that. I think that's right. Yeah, 1 in this box is in one of these two squares. So the 1 is there. So this isn't 1. So this is not 6. This is a 1, 2 pair. So these squares are 6 and... Oh, I was going to say 6 and 8. That's wrong. They're 3 and 6, aren't they? So that's adding up to 9. But these are getting increased. But okay, that's a 6. That still does a little bit of work. And we need 1, 2, 7 and 8 into these squares. Now, didn't I have a 7, 8 pair? I did here, 7, 8 pair. So that's a 1 or a 2 now. That's not dramatic. That's not 1. Which way do we think this is going to go? Do we think that's going to be green, or do we think it's going to be blue? I'm not sure. We need 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's a long video, isn't it? I apologise for those of you who prefer the shorter videos, but I've got a 2, 3, 4 triple in this column, so that's become 5, which means that's 6. So this is not 5 or 6. This is a 7, 8 pair. That is a 5. Ah, is that right? That seems to be right by Sudoku, and so we can do work on this, can't we? 5 is increased to have a value of 6. So this is a 2, 4 pair because these are natural. And this is a 1, and this is an 8. And that's a 2, and that's a 4 by Sudoku, and that's a 1, 3, 4. These don't include 4 anymore, so they're a 2, 3 pair. So we said they were the same as those, didn't we? So this is a 4, which seems to mean that is a 4. This is a 2, 3 pair, so that is a 1 of all things. Okay, there must be something going on up here now. That's not 4. So this is a 2, 3 pair. So these are a 7, 8 pair. It's still resisting. I think we'll be able to work it out now if I think hard enough about this. In fact, is this... No, we can still do a bit more Sudoku. Right, we said they had to add up to 7, didn't we? So that's a 6, and that's a 5, and that's a 5, and that's a 6. And we're just... this is... Oh no, I think we are. I think Marty has caused us to still have an issue here. Right, so this is going to be the determinant. We're on 9 natural, but these add up to at least 8, both increasing, so that must be green. Otherwise it's not going to be enough. Although that's a bit weird. That doesn't feel like it is going to add up to enough, because if that's 7, 7 plus 1 is 8. We're adding, this is at least 10. I mean, that is green by maths, definitely. So that is blue. That is the colouring. But even if this is 1, 8, 9, 11, that does, yeah, it does work. So if this is 2 here, We get 11 on this, which is the minimum we can make. So we need at least 9 on this because we're increasing each one once. And we can just get there if we make that 8. 7, 8, 7, 7, 8, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3. That is, I think, the solution. That is just a brilliant puzzle. It is a brilliant puzzle. It is so interesting and well constructed. And there's about 18 fascinating steps that you need to see to solve it. And I just loved doing the region division there. I loved having, you know, the fact you could build it up in your brain and work out how it worked. Now, is it correct? Yes. The solution is just right. Okay. It's been out for a while, actually. It's been out for 2/3 of a month, which is a long time. But Marty, again, hats off. This man is a total genius, producing Sudoku after Sudoku of the highest quality. Let me know in the comments how you got on with this. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.